We do know that given the sophistication of the operation and what they pulled off, that at a minimum they had to have equipment that they shouldn't have had access to. And we want to know how they got that equipment. You know, in a prison, there are basically three types of employees. You have the correction guards themselves, you have civilian employees, and then you have private contractors, many construction contractors. Especially in this prison, it's a very old prison. They're doing a lot of construction work, so you have various crews of construction workers. And want to know where they got the equipment, and we're interviewing literally hundreds of contractors and civilian employees, which I would be shocked if a correction officer was involved, but someone assisted them at least with equipment, because you're talking about cutting through steel. The back plate of the cell was more than a quarter-inch steel. You need a minimum of hacksaw blades to get through that. You're then in a catwalk. They had to go hundreds of yards. They went through a brick wall and then cut into a steam pipe. I don't know if you have the pictures, but it was about a 24-inch steam pipe, which they cut into, shimmy through this 24-inch steam pipe, cut another hole from inside the pipe to exit into another series of tunnels to get to a manhole cover. The manhole cover is chained and padlocked from the inside. They cut that chain and they cut that padlock. So they at a minimum, they needed equipment that they shouldn't have had access to. This, even if they could figure out the maze of tunnels on their own, which depending on who you talk to, there are differences of opinion, that with some common sense you could figure out which tunnel was leading out of the prison, because the power station was on the other side of the wall. But at least they needed equipment to pull this off. And it was not done in one night or two nights, in my opinion. This was multiple nights. They had put dummies in the bed, like the Shawshank Redemption. Every 2 hours, the guard goes by, makes sure somebody in the bed. They don't wake up the person every 2 hours, because that would obviously be problematic for other reasons. But my speculation, we're doing a full investigation and we'll know, but my speculation is those dummies deceived the guards on several nights because they could not have done this in one day.
Oh my God, Mike.
Governor, we now know from listening to you that the two escapees, their principal occupation was getting out of prison, and they worked at it for quite some time. Can you tell us, in terms of other people's occupations, how many state and federal agencies are now engaged in the pursuit of these two murderers?
Well, Mike, first, you have to remember this prison, Clinton Correctional, it's referred to as Dannemora, that's the location of it. Probably the toughest prison we have in the system, or certainly one of the toughest, and 25 miles from the Canada border. It really is for the hardened criminals. This is also the first escape from this prison, the maximum security portion of this prison, since 1865, the first escape. We want to make sure it's the last. We have literally hundreds of law enforcement officers. We have the state police, we have Department of Corrections, the federal marshals are now involved, we have the FBI involved, we're working with local police as well as neighboring states. Because given the severity of these two escapees, we've done everything we can, plus offering the reward, which is an unusual step for the state, but something that I think is important. Because as you know, Mike, the more time goes on, the less likelihood that we find them they're out of the area. So these first few days are really a precious opportunity, so we're doing everything we can.